So today I'm going to try talking without editing, just as a test. And I want to talk a bit about why I think vlogging is so important for people like me, video professionals, video producers. I think there are a couple of reasons. One is that it's just a great way of honing your craft every day and just using all the different tools and finessing how you do things. But more importantly, I think it's just a great way of learning about your subject, as in the person that is in front of your camera and what it's like to be in front of the camera. And that really helps with thinking about how you set up interview situations and what it's like for the person on the other side of the camera. And I just think that's invaluable for video producers. And then reviewing the footage afterwards and editing it, you learn so much. It's different because most of the videos I make are, when it's interviews or people talking on camera like this, they are looking off screen. And it's quite a different thing looking into the camera. This kind of leads on to the next topic. There are different methods and different aspects of how you address the camera. If you're just talking as I am, kind of ad lib, and you are looking directly into the lens of a camera, it can be pretty intimidating. One thing that I have found helpful is currently there's an ND filter on the front of my lens, which is basically a sunglasses for a lens, and that allows you to open the aperture really wide and get a bit of shallow depth of field, blurry background, because it compensates for the amount of light that you're letting in. But the ND filter also, because it's dark, creates and it's flat, it creates a fairly substantial reflection of what's in front of the camera. So I'm actually looking at the camera now, addressing you, but I'm actually looking at myself. It's like a dark mirror, and that's actually quite helpful with imagining the idea of addressing somebody else. You can, there's the documentary filmmaker Errol Morris's famous invention, what he calls the interrotron, which is basically, it's like a periscope with one-way mirrors that you place on the front of the lens, and it allows the interviewer who is behind the camera to look into the periscope at one end, which then and it effectively places the reflection of the interviewer's face in front of the camera lens, so that when the interviewee, in this situation that would be myself, when the interviewee is looking at the camera, what the interviewee is seeing is the interviewer's face. So when the interviewer asks a question, the interviewee is replying directly to the camera, but seeing the interviewer's face. And it's a brilliant idea, and you see it a lot. I think Errol Morris did some of the early Apple adverts. I may be wrong about that, but it's it's been copied 1,000 times, and you see it a lot. There's a documentary called The Imposter that uses it throughout, that I saw recently. But yeah, it's something I'd like to play around with. But I don't have any mirrored glass, and they're incredibly expensive to buy. But I may play around with making one. The only thing is that I'm just not sure how I feel about it. I tend to prefer off-camera interviews for my corporate work. And in general, I do find it a bit odd when an interviewee is addressing me as the viewer directly in a corporate or documentary film. I think for vlogging, it's really good. But it kind of leads me on to my next point, which is teleprompters. And we have tried using the iPad as a teleprompter a bit for the vlog. And I don't know if I like them at all. I can't decide. I mean, you can get something very, as I'm sure many of you know about, that you can get teleprompter devices for iPads that allows you to look directly into the lens, and they create a reflection of the teleprompter on the iPad, and so the person in front of the camera can be reading directly from the iPad and looking directly into the lens at the same time. And it works great up to a point until you realise that that's what's happening. And if you know about it, it's really obvious to see it on, even on the telly, on high-end broadcasts. You can see when a newsreader or a presenter is reading directly from a teleprompter. I've currently got a teleprompter on an arm, but to the top right of the camera, and I had the idea that when we think, we look up to the right. When we try and imagine stuff, and when we try and remember things, we look up to the left. But when we're imagining things and trying to come up with things using the creative side of our brain, we look up to the right. So I thought if the teleprompter was up at the top right, there may be some way of kind of looking up there and reading, and then just reading a bit and then remembering what's there and then looking back, and it wouldn't look too unnatural. So I'm going to try that a little bit now and see how that works. So this will just be random talk from the teleprompter from a previous vlog episode of ours. We've been talking a lot about storytelling and the need for conflict in our videos. But what has storytelling got to do with making a vlog? Well, we believe that content should be compelling, and we believe that studying storytelling theory holds the key to understanding this. I'll know what that looked like when I edit this, and you can tell me what you think. I'm not sure it's working, but yeah, I think basically sometimes teleprompters are necessary, and if you're wanting someone to address the camera and read from a teleprompter, then ideally you need a teleprompter proper device that you can read while looking directly into the camera. But for the kind of work I do and the vlogs I like, I don't want to see somebody reading from a teleprompter, even if they're looking directly into the lens. I want to know that they are actually engaged with what they're saying, and I want to know that I'm seeing the real them and not some contrived and constructed version of them. And I just think that's why it's really important to try and avoid tools like that. And I just think the biggest power of video is how particularly for online marketing, corporate stuff, anything where you're just trying to get across a slice of authenticity. I just think it's really important to actually be as real and in the moment as possible. And it's not easy when you're looking in a camera to always do everything as you would wish, but actually I think that's what produces the most engaging content, is when you see somebody being real. And that's what we've been trying to do with our videos so far, is the kind of self-reflexive kind of showing of the process of making the vlogs, and the kind of our experience of learning about being in front of the camera is part of you getting to know us and getting to know that what we're saying is us. You can't get around the fact that making a film is a constructed experience. You can't pretend that there isn't a camera in front of you. Everyone knows that if they're watching a video, then the person has filmed it, and if there are cuts, then they know it's been edited, and if they're reading from a teleprompter, you're going to pick up on that in one way or another. And personally, I think the best way around that, in terms of trying to get across a feeling of authenticity and realness, is to acknowledge all of that stuff, but do that within the video and throw in a bit of self-reflexive nods to your understanding of that. And that's basically my point for today. So we'll see how this comes out. I haven't done a non-edited monologue before. I hope it's not too long. And I'll see you next time.